Well, what we've seen is Queensland is doing a tremendous job of flattening that curve. We've only had 3 additional cases overnight, and the majority of our cases are still tending to be those returning Australians that are coming back to Queensland. So we're very happy with the progress, and can I say, I think there's a lot of people that are really struggling with mental health. These stay-at-home restrictions have been tough, but I think by lifting it, it's a sign of goodwill that we trust Queenslanders to go out there and do the right thing, but we're asking them to stay in their household group, or if they're single, to go with one other person. So I think they'll be very welcome. They'll be in place for next weekend. Next weekend in Queensland is a long weekend as well. And I think it's going to be wonderful to see people out and about, going for picnics, going driving, being able to go shopping, but fundamentally they must maintain that social distancing as well. So police will be looking out for mass gatherings, and we don't want to see that. And I think everyone wants to do the right thing here. We're not out of this. I often describe it as a series of cyclones coming over Queensland, and at the moment we're sort of maybe the eyes over the top of us, and we're sort of out and about having a look around, thinking everything's okay, but we really do have to be cautious. So it's slow steps, but I think they're necessary steps for people's mental health as well.
OK, well, if that's the rationale for easing restrictions, why not reopen schools then?
We can go through this debate if you want to, but there are, I can't name all of the countries where schools are fully open at the moment. We are still in a world pandemic, and we need to get it right. So we said that we'll be doing it in a structured and measured way. We'll be making a decision by May the 15th. We will be meeting with all of the stakeholders starting this week to make sure that there's full consultation. The principals will need to start putting in place very key plans, COVID-safe plans for their teachers. There needs to be COVID-safe plans for the morning drop-off, the afternoon drop-off. And look, I want to see, as much as anybody else, more teacher-student contact, but we'll be taking this one step at a time. So May 15th will be the next time that we will update everybody on our decision after full consultation.
I think Denmark is the only country that comes to mind that has reopened schools totally, but I see your point. It's not that many.
Well, exactly. We need to get this right. Yeah.
However, I mean, the federal government has been very clear in its messaging. It says that schools are safe to reopen because the transmission rates for students is very low. Your health authorities are saying something different, though. So do you accept that there is a disconnect in messaging?
No, because the federal government is saying that the classrooms are safe. But what we are saying, and the federal government is also saying, that there is a concern about teachers, and there is also a concern about the drop-off and the pickups. So we need to make sure that we have COVID-safe plans in place for all of that, and we must get that right. But there is not a Premier or a Chief Minister that does not want to see our children continue to learn. I mean, the states and the territories run the education system, and we must get this right. And we don't want to see large outbreaks. So we've got to contain this as much as possible.
Sure. Are you open to staggered starts in the way that New South Wales has done?
Oh, we're actually looking at more of a start than the New South Wales government is. So 15th of May, I'll come forward and I'll detail my plans for everybody to see on the advice of my Chief Health Officer.
OK, what about reopening the border?
Not happening at the moment.
How much time are you going to give that?
Well, there's still a large-scale community transmission down in the southern states, and until we are confident that that's not coming up to Queensland, we won't be opening the borders. But freight's still allowed to come through, so that's the key. The freight going between the two states is not a problem, but we will look at those matters, and they're reviewed every month.
OK. How significant, I mean, you spoke about this a little bit earlier when you're talking about the current restrictions that are being eased. How significant would an outbreak have to be for those easing restrictions to be reversed again?
Well, my Chief Health Officer and I will be monitoring how the caseloads go. But if we would see a cluster or a large-scale community transmission, we would have to clamp back down. So, look, we've said very clearly, if there is an outbreak, we will be acting very quickly, and we are asking the public to do the right thing here. Queenslanders are tremendous at listening. We go through so many natural disasters and bushfires and cyclones, floods, you name it, we've had it up here. And Queenslanders do listen. So we're asking them for the next couple of weeks as we monitor it to adhere to the social distancing, the 50-kilometre radius, to participate in some of these recreational activities.
Premier, on Friday, Peter Dutton said that you're getting pushed around by the teachers' union, you're getting bossed by them at the moment. What was your reaction to that?
Look, I really don't want to comment on Peter Dutton. Perhaps he can do a press conference on the Ruby Princess if he wants to have a go at me about schools.
OK. And what about the NRL at the moment? What are your concerns when it comes to the restarting of the league season? I know you've got a meeting with Peter V'landys this week. What concerns will you be raising?
Oh, look, the submission came in late Friday. It's been forwarded to the Chief Health Officer. I'll be going through that in detail today as well. Look, I just think we need to make sure that the football players, their staff are safe, and also to the community is safe. So we'll be looking at how they plan to do all of that. And I'll wait the advice of the Chief Health Officer. And look, there may be discussions between the NRL and the Chief Health Officer before we have that meeting anyway. But also too, there's other codes that are looking forward at putting their plans. We've received another plan from another code, and it's very detailed as well. So I think, you know, the key sporting organisations are really giving this serious consideration. So well done to them for putting in detailed plans.
That other code, is that the AFL?
Could be, yes.
So what details are being pitched?
Look, I'm not going to go into that. It's confidential, and I think that's great when sporting codes do put in confidential plans. I'm not going to air or discuss them in public.
When it comes to the NRL, though, I mean, are you confident that it can go ahead on May 28, or are you uncertain about that?
Yeah, well, Peter, so National Cabinet is going to be looking at those principles on Friday for a whole range of sporting codes. What are those principles that will make a whole range of sporting activities safe? And I think at the same time we need to look at what is actually safe for community sport as well. But once again, it's all about the health advice about how we stop the spread of coronavirus.